Hello, my name is Jessica Chandler, and I am a master's student studying applied behavioral analysis at Ball State University. Today, I am going to be talking about prompting and the prompting hierarchy. So what we're going to discuss today is what prompting is, why it's important, the prompting hierarchy, and then at the end, there's a role play where I show what the different prompts look like in real life. Starting off, what is prompting? Prompting is a teaching tool used to teach target behaviors and responses. And to understand prompting, I think it's important to note conditional discrimination, which is the response that will produce reinforcement in the presence of a particular stimulus that depends on the presence or absence of other stimuli. For example, when you're teaching a child to identify the color red in an array of other colors, just blue, green, orange, we want to reinforce the response touching red over the other colors to help them to establish the learning history so that they are able to identify red in other contexts and associate the word red with the color that they are seeing. Prompting is useful for teaching the learner the color red without them having to respond correctly and independently to the SD touch red in order to receive reinforcement. Response prompts operate directly on the response to cue a correct response, and stimulus prompts operate directly on the antecedent task stimuli to cue a correct response in conjunction with a critical SD. Prompts help learners reach the correct response without requiring them to respond on their own and access reinforcement. Next, we're going to talk about why prompting is important. Teaching is considered successful if it leads to the acquisition of a target skill, and prompting is key for the effectiveness and efficacy of teaching, meaning if the prompting works, the students will eventually learn how to correctly respond all on their own and receive the reinforcement. It's important to systematically fade prompts to promote prompt-free or independent performance, as stated in the Libby article. Transferring stimulus control means to gradually fade stimuli in or out to evoke an independent response, or transferring stimulus control from prompts to natural stimuli. It's important to fade prompts to avoid prompt dependency, which means the learner depends on the prompt delivered rather than the naturally occurring stimuli. They associate the SD with the prompt rather than with what's in the environment and target response. I have listed the different techniques below of how to transfer stimulus control, but for the sake of this presentation, we are just going to talk about least to most and most to least prompting procedures. All right, we're going to start with least to most prompting, which once an incorrect response occurs, the practitioner will start with the least intrusive prompt and then gradually increase the prompt level until a correct response is achieved. Most to least prompting, however, starts with the most intrusive prompt and then gradually fades to the least intrusive prompt as trials increase. So the practitioner physically guides the participant through the entire performance sequence and then gradually reduces the amount of physical assistance provided. Choosing which prompt fading procedure to use depends on the individual learner's skill level. The Nitzel article describes the benefits and drawbacks of both prompting procedure techniques. Most to least has a higher rate of correct responding, but using least to most prompting is quicker to fade to independent responses and less intrusive. Up next, we have our prompting hierarchy. At the top of the hierarchy is the independent responding, meaning the learner completes the targeted task on their own without prompts. A gesture prompt is delivering the SD, then pointing to the correct response. A model prompt is role-playing how the interaction should look and then giving the client or child the opportunity to match your actions. A positional prompt means to manipulate the environment or stimuli to lead the learner to the target response. This can be having the correct visual stimuli closer to the learner, a larger font, picture that's in color while the rest of the array is in black and white, among other options. Partial physical prompting means to gently nudge the student's elbow or wrist toward the correct response. And then full physical prompting would be hand over hand or physically guiding the learner to the correct response. Up next, I have a quick clip of myself role-playing the different prompting techniques. I use a most to least prompt fading procedure, and I skipped modeling since we were using visual stimuli. A gesture would also act as a model for responding.
Go.
Touch cat. Let's try it. Touch cat. Awesome. Touch cat. Perfect. Touch cat. Great. Touch cat. Excellent. Touch cat. Perfect.
Go.
All right, so that concludes the presentation. Here are a list of my references that I used to put it together. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you found this informative. Thank you.